Hello, dear listeners. I hope you've been enjoying yourselves. I thought I needed to make a quick introduction to this one, just remembering the process of recording it. Um, just to say, just to like put a little bit of a warning out there, there is some. I've already said a couple pretty vile things while reading for the Seraphim, but this is kind of a whole chapter continuously of the Seraphim saying and like behaving in vile ways. I think it's still I think it's important that we have villains who are actually villains. And here's the thing. Absolutely, there are lots of great, wonderful stories out there where even the antagonist, you can understand them really well, and they might have noble aspirations, and they might not they might not ever say anything that you're like that was objectionable because you respect their end game, and like maybe they have their belief system kind of lines up with yours, if only in kind of broken ways. But like just the reality here is, and absolutely, I love that. I want there to be a place for villain characters like that, but the Seraphim is not that, and I'm sure that's already very obvious. And this all feels a little redundant to say, but just all of that to say, I felt uncomfortable reading some of this aloud, just because he is such a fucking gross character in a lot of ways, and this is kind of he's even a little toned down from the original fanfic.net upload on AO3. I tried to be ever so slightly more tactful with how I was using him. So just have that in mind, if you're sensitive to, the kind of content like this. It's not hard in later chapters. He's a crazed, hateful man who was locked in Arkham Asylum for a while. That's really the short version that, will explain a lot of what goes on in here anyways. But, just know that I didn't have fun reading this, and like don't I hope I hope no one else does, in the idea that like oh, now I relate to this character, good lord, I hope I don't have fans like that. No, this was an exercise in here's a vile character, here's some of their vile character background, and we're just gonna kind of absorb it for what it is. And I figure, like I said, this was hard for me to read, but I figure if I asked my readers to, sit there and read it on the page, I needed to be tough enough to read it aloud and, adapt it to this new art form. So hang in there. This is kind of a rough one in my perspective. I don't think I'm going to have any other introductions like this throughout the rest of the story, but I thought this one required a little bit of a bit of a brace yourself request. So bear with me. Hope you're enjoying the story, and hope you enjoy what continues to come beyond this one. Chapter 24, The Burning One. I'm going to be straight with you, Doctor. I don't believe in psychology. Dr. Joan Leland sighed in a never heard that one before fashion. Well, is it going to hurt you to try, Mr. Leibowitz? Daniel is fine. His words came out both harsh and quick. I don't like Leibowitz. Makes me sound like a Shylock. Leland had to mentally roll her eyes as she looked down at the man seated across from her. Curly black hair fell over his off-white skin. Glasses covered his brown eyes and rested on a slightly oversized nose. He felt so stereotypical and so self-hating all at once. Some people find that term offensive, Daniel, she said. The Jews have a lot to answer for before they can start feeling offended by anything, he said with a sneer. That's why my brother told you bastards to lock me up. He can't stand me, and he can't stand me speaking the truth in his house. You lived with your brother then? Leland asked. Had to. No one rents me apartments anymore. I see. Any particular reason for that, Daniel? None that you need to know about. I see. Josh told me I had to clean up my act, that I couldn't be acting out of turn and saying God told me to do it. The guy's an idiot, Doc. He's a smartass. He never goes to church, and he thinks he knows what's best for me. I take it you're a pretty devout person, then, Leland asked. Hand to God. Daniel did not make conversation with anyone else in his first week at Arkham Asylum. He spoke only to request his meals, usually sausage with breakfast and ham and some variety at dinner. The other inmates watched him with peculiar curiosity as he prayed before each meal and then ate in silence. No one tried speaking to him until the morning of his 9th day, when 2 burly men sat on either side of him. The lanky man exchanged looks between the both of them. "Leibowitz, right?" one of them asked mockingly. "Awfully kosher name for such an unkosher meal." Then he snatched up one of the sausages and took a bite. "Fitting," Daniel said irritably. "I don't eat kosher." "Ooh, hear that, Don? We got a rebel over here." His companion chuckled. "Listen up, pal, 'cause we got one hell of a deal for you." Daniel said nothing. "There are things you gotta know about Arkham Asylum, and the first is this. You ain't safe sitting here alone. You want to look around this room? Nearly everybody has sworn some kind of allegiance. Yeah, Two-Face, Cobblepot, Sionis. They all got guys doing time for 'em in here. Everybody knows it. There are agents, double agents, triple agents, but everybody's got a boss, and if you don't, you're not going to live very long. So who's your boss?" Daniel glared at the one called Don, who rolled up his sleeve. Under his jumpsuit, he revealed a tattoo on his upper arm that depicted a laughing clown. "Mr. J himself," he said. "No finer security in this pit, especially since he's here most of the time. They got him in extreme isolation. I give it a week before he shows up topside and pays us a visit. I'm not looking for security." Daniel stabbed and ate his remaining sausage before either guest could try to get at it. "I have all the protection I need." "Yeah? You think you're Danny Boy in the lion pit right now? You think God's gonna shut me up and make me leave?" Daniel gripped the sides of his tray, as if he was about to depart himself. "Well, God's not here right now, kid. You want to shut me up, do it yourself." Daniel reached as if he'd been offered an invitation, rose, and smashed the man upside the face with his tray. His enemy fell onto his seat and then onto the ground. Before his partner could react, Daniel pushed up to his feet and began kicking him over and over in the face. The strikes quickly drew blood and knocked out at least one tooth. After a delayed reaction, Don realized what was happening, jumped to his feet, and grabbed Daniel from behind, securing his arms. The young man struggled violently. He tried to stomp on Don's foot and give him a backwards headbutt at one point, but he was subdued long enough for the companion to get to his feet. "Big mistake, kid. Big mistake." "I'm very sorry to hear about your fight in the cafeteria. I hope they won't bother you again." "Shut up, Leland." The doctor again sighed. There was truly no looking forward to speaking to this patient. He rarely offered even caveats of information about himself or his condition, and continued to deny any fault or responsibility. His left eye and cheek were now swollen from the beating he endured in the cafeteria. The medical team confirmed a number of bruises colored his chest. "Well, if you don't want to talk about that, what would you like to talk about?" "I don't want to talk about much of anything." "Well, we have to fill your quota of communication and therapy somehow. Are you feeling any better about talking about your childhood, maybe?" "My childhood was one of disillusionment. I hate it." "Disillusionment? How so?" "I was raised an agnostic Jew, Leland. You have no idea how much shame it brings me to say that." Leland documented this in her notebook before she said, "Maybe we're finally getting somewhere. Why do you consider that shameful?" "It's an affront on both sides. The Jews lost their favor 2 millennia ago. The best of them converted after the coming of Christ. The rest of them continue to live with his holy blood on their hands." "Well, you may be one of the first patients I've seen who put it like that." "At least the Orthodox have ideas to keep. At least they were given guidance and directive. Agnostic Jews are driven by their own self-fulfillment, Doctor. They keep and hold once held sacred ideas and warp them into something foul and egotistical. They're a step away from Satanists, if even that. That's quite an assertion, Daniel. I'm not one of these idiots who think Satanists are about to summon a monster and kill us or any of that crap either. No, Satanists are repugnant little trolls who just want to annoy and scratch at the moral fiber of good, hard-working religious people. And that's bad enough. When did you become so interested in religion as a topic? You said yourself you were raised agnostic. My father came home from work one day. I remember his smile seemed forced. Something about him seemed off. He said he made a great decision for the family. He had an epiphany while he was away at the office. That he had discovered something of true worth and beauty. He said we were all going to start attending church. That it was time we started accepting the Lord Jesus Christ as our Savior. My mother didn't object, though she did find it questionable. Do you know anything more about what happened that day? Did your parents tell you anything later? Of course I know what happened that day. The church didn't try to hide it when I asked them. A new tinge of anger slipped into his voice as he pressed on. My father was a high-ranking accountant in one of Gotham's law firms. Apparently, the president learned he was screwing one of the secretaries during one of his alleged late nights at the office. My father was told he must make recompense for what he'd done, or my mother would learn of it. Gave him a personal recommendation for a preacher to visit. A man by the name of Joseph Blackfire. Deacon Blackfire was a harsh critic of my family's lack of faith. My mother was initially told my father was going on an impromptu business meeting for the next 2 weeks. She probably wouldn't have bought it, but the company had a nice sum for her. Daniel paused and sneered. What's that they say? Dirty Jews love dirty money? I see. Leland's grip on her pen grew tighter and tighter as she struggled not to lash out at the lanky inmate who sat before her. When the time passed, my father came home, and he did with wonderful news for the family. He finally found the awe and the beauty of God, and he simply couldn't keep something so wonderful to himself. We were all going to see the light. I hate you, Josh. Yeah, I knew it was too soon to try coming to see you. I'm doing this because I care about you, Dan. I hate being here, Josh. I hate all these people. I don't belong here. I just want to go back to church. Yeah, you want to go back to church? You finish up in here and you can go to whatever other church you want. I don't care. I don't want another church, Josh. I want to be back where I belong. And sooner or later, they're going to break me out. You keep telling yourself that, Dan. I made a promise to Mom and Dad that I would take care of you. So you lock me in this cardboard hole? Screw off, Josh. You were just trying to get rid of me. One less mouth to feed, you damn dirty Jew. I'd have kicked you out for this crap years ago if I wasn't so scared for your safety. But after what you did to that kid, you need help. A lot of help. I was saving her, Josh, just like they taught us to do. A little pain is a small sacrifice for eternal salvation. And if her parents knew how to raise her right, she wouldn't have needed me to step in anyway. I wish I could bring better news back with me. I'll see you in a few weeks, Dan. I hope you get the help you need. And soon. Are you aware that Deacon Blackfire was killed several years ago? Was he still considered a religious leader in your church then? Dr. Leland asked. The Church of the Voice excommunicated him when we came to believe his works were witchcraft rather than actual miracles. His tactics, however, have always remained useful, Daniel said. His tactics, Daniel? She raised an eyebrow. Sometimes suffering is necessary to experience revelation. That's what we were taught. It wasn't Blackfire's idea. It's a much older cornerstone. But what did such tactics entail, Daniel? Leland continued to pry. Taking of herbs and medicines, sometimes long fasts and separation from sleep. My brother and I experienced many of those things. But only I was changed by what happened. Only I beheld God's glory when all was said and done. It was then that Dr. Leland started to grow fearful. The tactics of Joseph Blackfire and the way he seemed capable of inducing madness were studied within Arkham since his attack. From Daniel's story, such methods could have been introduced to him as a child. Now there was no question as to why his mind seemed so far away. Daniel, local authorities need to talk to that church of yours. You make it sound as if some very illegal activities are going on within. And for a rare moment, Daniel stared at her from beyond his glasses, directly into her eyes. The Lord has prepared them a mighty fortress. You will never find it, and never penetrate it. The door to Arkham's minimal security cafeteria burst open over a month after Daniel Leibowitz was admitted. The man who stepped through had a spring in his step and a smile on his face, whether he liked it or not. Every body in the room clenched as he walked in, garbed not in high-security orange, but in a flamboyant suit of purple and green. His eyes scanned the room as he let out a boisterous laugh. "Well, mission accomplished, ladies and gentlemen," he announced. "I've got the clearance to just walk right out of here." Out from his pocket, he revealed a remote control. "Warden said I just had to hand over the control to the front door. Smart guy, considering it's the only thing keeping Joker gas from flooding the homes of half the staff." Silence held the cafeteria, which only served to annoy him. "But I suppose I have some unfinished business here first." He reached into his jacket again. Before anyone could react, he pulled a pistol from one of the inside pockets and shot one of the women serving lunch. Screams overtook the room as staff and inmates alike began to duck under tables. Security guards yelled and tried to remain calm. "Brenda, your meatloaf was atrocious," Joker said. He turned toward one of the horrified inmates who ducked under a table and again pulled the trigger. Everyone now ran to the door as fast as they could. "Alex, I saw you steal an extra packet of cream cheese! 1 per person! And you!" With a flick, he turned the gun toward the last inmate as he tried to push through the crowd, this one a young Latino. "Well, Pedro, frankly, I never liked you!" He fired and let his horrific laughter fill the room. Only a handful of men remained as alarms were sounded all through the asylum. Joker sighed and said, "Well, that's just great. Now I've got to speed things up." Before he approached a half-dozen of his employees and Daniel himself. Unfazed by the whole ordeal, the unaffiliated man kept eating his BLT. "Well, well, well," Joker mused. "What do we have here? Is he a new recruit?" "No," Don said bitterly. "He's the one who attacked us." "Ooh," the Joker said, fascinated. "You're a brave little boy, aren't you? What did you say his name was?" "Daniel Leibowitz, sir." Joker pulled up the chair sitting beside Daniel, who did not look up. "You got some real stones, kid," Joker said. "Guess you've already seen a lot of people die." "I have." Daniel didn't look up. "The church teaches you a lot." "Oh, you're a religious kid, huh?" Joker said. "Never liked it much myself, too many rules. I mean, I'm more than happy to see the walls come crumbling down on everybody, but why stop when the Chosen move in?" Daniel said nothing in reply, which seemed to agitate the Joker. "Hey, come on, kid! Walls of Jericho, you know?" "I understood the reference," Daniel replied in monotone. "I didn't think it was very funny." "Oh, what a critic you are," the Joker said bitterly. "So, what? You don't think killing hordes of people is funny?" "There's nothing funny about doing God's work," Daniel said solemnly. The Joker stared down at him, stunned for a few seconds, before he turned to his goons, his anger now greater than ever. After the silence, he looked back toward Daniel. "You don't want to cross me, kid." Daniel accepted this challenge. Or else what? With a nod, 2 of the Joker's goons slammed and pinned Daniel's arms to the table. Don stood just behind him and smashed his face in, too. The impact shattered the lenses of Daniel's glasses as he cried out in pain and struggled to overpower them. The Joker produced a switchblade from one of his pockets and lowered it so Daniel could get a good look at the tip. "Because when you cross me..." He grabbed Daniel by his hair and jerked his face so the right side remained pressed against the table. "I cross back!" With 2 deep slashes and several roars of agony, Joker tossed the bloodied knife and motioned to his men to follow him to the door as Daniel fainted. As they departed, blood poured down the freshly made cross-shaped scar that now consumed his left cheek. Daniel, Daniel, it's time to wake up. As soon as his eyes opened, his hands were at his cheek, clenching at the cross carving as he squinted his eyes. It was dark in his bedroom, but he made out 3 figures standing over him, all garbed in white. Sirens and alarms sounded outside. What enormous pain and weakness he must have been in for those not to awaken him. What do you want? His voice came out weak. We're here to take you back to the church, Daniel. Your training is now complete. We always knew you could do it. My training? Yes, Daniel. We had to do it. To truly unlock your potential, you had to be put to the test. We let you be within Arkham for 40 days and 40 nights, just as Christ remained in the desert. But your dedication is surely unwavering. A distraction is being caused now. The sinners have started to riot. We will take you away. Daniel pushed himself from the bed, only to fall to his knees before the 3 figures in white. Lead me out, then. We have so much work to do. It was here that Bruce's summary and collection of surveillance clips from Arkham came to an end. Cassandra, Tim, and Dick all looked at him, perplexed. There's gotta be more to it than that, Dick said. It sounded like his parents died somewhere in there. May or may not have been the cult's fault. It's a lot to try and accept, Bruce said, and there's much we still don't know, but it is as I feared. The Church of the Voice uses Blackfire's methods of conversion and insanity inducement. I've felt those effects myself. I'm very worried for all of you. He only wants to kill me. I fear he may have worse machinations for all of you. He can go ahead and try, Tim said. The guy's out of his mind. He apparently was years before he put on that stupid costume. I haven't decided what our next course of action should be yet. Bruce turned back to his work. Rest assured, though, we'll catch up with him. I'll let you know when things are in place. Tim and Dick made their way out of the cave, casually joking as they walked toward the elevator. Cassandra, however, remained behind and, after a deep breath, approached her father. I have a few ideas about my costume.